Welcome back to Hardball. Well, the conservative clown car, or the clown show, if you will, is at it again yesterday. They held another hearing on Benghazi, determined to chase the story and issue that doesn't exist, simply to poison the well for the Democrats' likely 2016 presidential nominee, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Well, the House Intelligence Committee hearing yesterday was not an effort to get facts, but instead an opportunity to yet again accuse a former administration official in this case, and by extension President Obama and Hillary Clinton, of covering up the response to the attacks on that U.S. facility in Benghazi ahead of the 2012 election. Well, here's Republican Michelle Bachmann, of course, accusing former CIA Deputy Director Michael Morrell of lying to the American people.
What's really odd here is that the false narrative that was given on Sunday morning on the Sunday morning shows somehow strangely added up with the view of the White House 6 weeks before the presidential election. That was the narrative of the White House in the run-up to the presidential election. How weird that that ultimately was reflected in the talking points against all knowledge from people on the ground and knowledge this committee had. That's why we're upset, because the American people, from my perspective, were intentionally misled by this administration as to what happened in Benghazi.
I don't think people like Bachmann even keep up with stories, and that's evidence of it. She doesn't know what she's talking about. The bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee completely cleared the behavior by the administration. There was no BS involved in the reporting. Anyway, Bachmann was just one of many on that committee yesterday to take a swing at Morrell, the former deputy director of the CIA, and the Obama administration generally, continuing their witch hunt in front of the cameras, all to muddy the waters for Hillary Clinton. U.S. Congressman Adam Smith's a Democrat from Washington, and Time Magazine's Mark Halpert is MSNBC's senior political analyst. I want to start with the congressman. You know, I don't understand it, because I sometimes think, don't these people even read the reports that come out? We know what happened in Benghazi. It was a copycat from Cairo, which himself was ignited by that stupid video, that anti-Islamic video. Right. We know they used the word extremist rather than terrorist, because that came out of the intelligence community. And we know they didn't use the word al-Qaeda, because that was a decision by General Petraeus himself at DCI. So I don't get it. I do not get why they keep acting like we don't know anything when we know pretty much everything. Your thoughts?
Well, it's two things. I mean, first of all, you know, the right-wing conspiracy, or the clown car, as you're calling it today, they don't live in the fact-based world. They haven't heard anything that you just said, or any of the numerous reports that have made it clear that what Representative Bachmann was saying is completely, totally untrue, has no basis in reality whatsoever. So they simply keep repeating it over and over and over again. And
Bottom line, what's their home run here?
They keep throwing mud up. Well, two goals. One, they keep throwing mud up against the same wall and hoping it will stick. They are desperate to find some sort of conspiracy. I mean, keep in mind, some people were muttering about impeachment when this first happened. They want to stick something on the president, first of all. Second of all, they're playing to their right-wing base that loves this stuff. But look, the day after the attack, President Obama said it was a terrorist attack, and yet they keep accusing him of having claimed that it wasn't. There's no facts here. There's just the right wing, you know, trying to tarnish the president and pander to their increasingly unrealistic base, a base that has completely lost touch with reality.
There are some scandals that are real. We know that, Mark, and they do exist in history. Watergate example, Teapot Dome. I don't think Whitewater was one of them. Is this one that's just going to be, you hear it so many times, you figure there must have been something there where there's smoke, there's fire. Is that the theory?
It is largely driven by the imperative demands of the right that they keep asking about it, and for fundraising and all the normal incentives we see in politics today. We've seen show hearings on a bunch of topics by both parties throughout our careers. The Republicans keep doing it on the same issue with very little tactics or strategy, with no new information of any significance.
What's the home run, Mark? We don't have much time. Is the home run that Hillary let her friend die? It seems like somehow they go, the PR was played around with, the reporting was played around with, the statements on Meet the Press, and somehow that led to the death several days before of Chris Stevens.
Yeah,
I mean, what's the causality they're looking at here?
Chris, there are various schools of Benghazi scandal mania. There's what happened before, failure to defend the embassies, the consulates sufficiently. There's what happened during, whether there was enough attempts made to protect the people who were there and the tragic loss of life. And then there's people who want to talk about the spin after. Look, in all three of those areas, there are legitimate public policy questions. If Republicans were smart, I think, they would simply focus on the legitimate public policy questions rather than this attempt to just inflame and cater to the right wing of the party.
Congressman Smith, yes or no? You can take a few words to say this. Is there any way to end this conversation, or is it just going to be their dribble right through the 2016 election?
Well, I don't see any way to end it on the right wing. I hope that Congress will end it. I worked very hard with the Armed Services Committee to get us to stop asking about it. I hope this is the last time any committee in Congress will officially waste time and look at it. But there's no way to stop the right-wing noise machine. You know that. They'll keep babbling about it. Hopefully, you know, this will make them look as incoherent as they are, and it'll wind up hurting them. And I think it is at that point where they're so unhinged on this issue that the American people have left them on it.
Well, this is how Harry Truman got reelected back in '48. The Congress had their chance to do stuff, and all they did was probe and probe and probe, and they got nothing. Anyway, thank you, U.S. Congressman Adam Smith of Washington State, and the great Mark Halper. Thank you, sir. And we'll be right back after this.